All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to do the practice of the tiki. We're going to start with this cylinder right here. This cylinder is your basic structure of the tiki. You'll notice this already has the mouth cut out. I'm going to walk through you the process of how to make that mouth cut out and how to make a cone for the top and the bottom and how to actually put the piece in the mouth, and we're going to do the nose and all those things. We're going to start with just using a piece of copy paper because the copy paper moves around real easy. We can do the things with it. We can get a basic idea of the shapes. And making mistakes with the copy paper is no big deal. You just, if you're, sorry, messed it up, let's try again. You can just grab another piece of copy paper without having destroyed your $3 piece of poster board. So that's how this process starts. We start with a basic piece of copy paper. You can see that the copy paper, I've already drawn a line more or less down the middle. Notice if you can see that, I don't know, let's zoom in on it. Nope, that isn't very working. Well, you can kind of see there's just a pencil line drawn down the middle. It's rough. It doesn't have to be super precise. All I'm doing, I draw a little line down the middle. I'm put a spot, more or less, I found the middle of it and spot about in the middle of that. And again, these measurements are entirely relaxed. We're not worried about making them super specific. If you feel like the line is a little low, you can raise it a little up, and it's like, we'll just see what it goes. But this distance here, right there, we're going to make a line the same length, roughly, horizontally. Roughly the same height as it is there. You can see it's about the same. I'm not measuring this because the measurement isn't critical, and a little bit of that random factor is a good thing. It kind of allows that variation in the shape, size, and dimensions of the tikis. Once I've got that line drawn, that line becomes the mouth. That's this line right here, which in the finished tiki you'll notice doesn't go together until you bend it. So we'll come to that in a moment. So I'm going to start with an oval shape. You can see this oval shape right here. I'm going to draw one side. Oh no, I don't think I like that one. It's not big enough. Hey, whoop-de-doo, no big deal. You just make it a little bit bigger or change the shape. Notice I'm not erasing or anything like that because it's just not that important. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of run this thing until I'm happy with that shape. And that shape right there, that makes me pretty happy. I'm comfortable with it. Now, some people immediately want to start drawing a circle over here, but we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to first cut that circle out. And the way we cut that circle out is with scissors. Duh. Well, teenagers frequently like to stab paper, and that's, I guess that's okay, but we're not going to do that. We're going to do this the easy way. I'm going to lay my scissors in line with this line that I drew here, point down, and I don't have to stab anything. I'm just very gently going to lift that paper up. And look at there, it made a nice little hole in it for me, and I didn't have to stab anybody. I mean, sometimes stabbing, if you really feel like stabbing something, let your conscience be your guide. But we're going to keep it simple. We're just going to cut along the mouth line we just made. And what I'm going to do is I'm now going to cut that. You'll notice I'm going to lay the paper fairly flat, which is more or less in the same plane as the scissors. I'm going to cut really close to the pivot point here. The closer I am to the pivot, the neater I can make that circle. So I'm just going to lay that in there, kind of hold it. And this is practice for making the final piece, so it's okay if there's a little random wobble in it, no big deal. And really, even for the final piece, it doesn't matter. Notice how I'm not moving, I'm not chopping with my scissors. If you're chopping with your scissors, what you're going to get is a bunch of starfish shapes, and that is not what you want. And also, if you're very observant, you'll notice I'm not exactly on the line, and as long as I'm pretty close, I don't really care. It's not critical that you be exactly on that line. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut this out and done. Put it back in its orientation, and you can see this is where it lays in there. The next step to do on that is we're going to flip this to the other side. And I want the distance between these round circles to be about the length of the circle. So you can see I'm going to put it about there. I'll line it up pretty good. And again, you know, perfect is the enemy of good enough, so we're not going to try and worry about making it exact. We're just going to get it pretty close, and pretty close works for me. That's pretty good. So I'm just going to kind of trace out this circle. And there it is. Now before I cut this out, actually I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. So I'm going to cut it out using the same method here of laying it down. I'm always laying the paper where I can see the line that I'm cutting, not trying to do it this way. And not super duper worried about getting exactly on the line, but you can see it's not that hard to get pretty darn close to the line. What I'm trying to get is a smooth cut. Smooth is actually more important than making it dead on the line. Of course, it doesn't hurt if you can get it dead on the line. Nothing wrong with that, but it's just not super critical. You can hear how I'm just doing this. I'm not, none of that. No. That's the direction of chaos. Chaos is bad in Tiki land. So what we're going to do, okay. Boom. Now we have 2 mouth holes cut out. Now, when we're working with the poster board, we're not going to throw these out. We're going to keep these. We're going to keep track of those because those shapes make really good eyes. But because we're working with this soft paper, it's not critical. So we're going to just put those aside. You don't have to worry about them. Now for the mouth line, you'll notice this is a curving line here, and that gives us this structure right here. You can see it's kind of rounded, right? And we don't want a straight line going across there. So we're going to do that first. And what we'll do is we'll just curve that line. And notice this one, the bottom one or the top one, they can go all the way to the straight line, but at least one of them needs to not. It doesn't matter which one you choose, really. You see how I've just kind of drawn that curving line. And again, you know, accuracy is not crucial, as long as it's pretty close. They don't have to be a perfect match. Here we go. And I'm just going to cut along that line, assuming I'm in the video screen there. I can't see, I don't have a monitor or anything, so I'm guessing and hoping that you're seeing what's going on here. I'm just kind of cutting along that line. This whole process shouldn't take you more than a few minutes, but again, this is just a practice. And there's the shape you end up with. It should be a fairly smooth transition. You don't want any sharp corners either way. I mean, it's not the end of the world if you have them, but it's just not desirable. But that's what we want right there. Now, once I've got this shape right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my masking tape, and I'm going to be careful of my resources. And I've got this piece here. It's you know, a little bit longer than your index finger, and I'm going to tear it right down the middle. Double the usefulness of my tape, because I mean, this is just a piece of paper. And I'm going to tape, there's my name. My name is in the corner, the bottom right hand corner as usual. And I'm going to tape that corner down. And notice that it overhangs off the end. I'm just going to tape it pretty much right to the table. Now I'm not pressing down on the tape that's on the table, I'm pressing down on the tape that's on the paper. And I'm going to do that over here. Again, pressing on the paper, not on the table. And there it is. I've got the tape all aligned the way I want it. Simply lift it right off the table, and there it comes. I'm going to flip it over upside down. Now the sticky part of the tape is facing upward. And this is an important step, especially when you're working with the cardstock or poster board, because it's a lot harder to make it round out. But here's the important detail. I kind of fold it to about, I don't know, an inch away from the edge, and that's where I flip it over so that I have a bit of overlap. And that overlap is crucial, because if you try and butt it together without the overlap, what you get is a teardrop. And this overlap kind of allows the material to support itself. And I'm just going to fold that little overhang in on that side and fold it in on this side. And I can just kind of reach in there and mash that. I can reach in and mash that. You can touch it up on the back side, and that is your basic tiki tube. That's exactly what we wanted right there. And that's step one of your tiki.